Well, hello there. I just wanted to have a look at the Victorinox Pioneer today, and I think this is an absolutely fabulous tool if you wanted a pocket knife multi-tool for genuine kind of harder work. And these Alox or Alox models are fantastic, and this one is wonderful. I guess the knives it's most similar to in their standard Cellador range is either the Spartan or the Tinker, and I'm going to be comparing it to the Tinker because recently I've been using a Tinker as my kind of backup knife for when I'm doing like manual work, DIY. I've been doing a load of renovations and things, and I've been pocketing this to use as a backup alongside my proper tools, and it's been really good for that. But then someone said, well, no, you want the Pioneer because it's tougher and more durable, and yes, that's probably quite true. Did have a Pioneer years ago. I sold it on because I wasn't using it, and I've just bought another one as of mid-July 2025. These are 28 quid on Amazon, which is a bit of a steal. Tinker is currently about 18 quid on Amazon UK. Prices on all these seem to go up and down completely at random, so a £10 price difference between the Alox Pioneer and the Tinker. Is it worth it? Well, let's just have a look at some of the differences and similarities between these two models. So I'll just have a quick chat about the basic tools you get on the Pioneer. You get a large main blade made from Victorinox's corrosion resistant, really easy to sharpen steel. You get the pretty good and pretty easy to use can opener with a little flat screwdriver on the end there, which is absolutely fine for Phillips screws, for a lot of different size Phillips screws. And on this side you get a really beefy cap lifter and large slotted screwdriver head on, and then the last thing you get is this excellent inline awl, really tough and sturdy tool. On the Tinker you get a large main blade, a smaller secondary blade, the cap lifter, slotted screwdriver, can opener with smaller slotted screwdriver or Phillips driver, and on the backside you do get an awl with a sewing eye and the backside Phillips screwdriver. You do also get the scale tools, so you get a pair of tweezers, you get a toothpick. I've swapped these to plus scales, so you do also get a slot for a pressurized ballpoint pen, and then behind a screwdriver on there there's a slot for a little steel pin. So you get more tools, don't you, with the Tinker? So why would you choose the Pioneer over the red plastic scales models? Tinker is a 91mm length model, Pioneer is 93mm long, and the tools on the Pioneer are beefier, slightly larger and slightly sturdier. So if you're going to be using your knife for doing manual tasks that are going to need a bit more harder use than, you know, popping the cap off a beer, slicing open food packaging, then yeah, these tools are definitely beefier. Let's just compare them. First we'll just weigh them. Victorinox Tinker weighs 63 grams, Pioneer weighs 70 grams. So Tinker weighs 2.2 ounces, Pioneer weighs 2.4 ounces. So on the Tinker you get two blades, your main blade and a secondary smaller blade. I personally don't really need two blades on my EDC knife, so I don't mind losing the secondary small blade on the Pioneer. So let's just compare the blades there. You can see straight away the blade on the Pioneer is bigger, longer, wider, it's more of a belly, and it is a thicker piece of steel as well. So at the base where the actual cutting edge starts on the outer edge on the spine, I'm getting that at 1.9mm on the Tinker. Pioneer, yeah, 2.5, so 0.6 of a mil thicker. That's quite a lot more steel, so a much thicker, sturdier blade, which will stand up to a bit more hard use. These blades I've always found absolutely fine for what I need them for, but nice to have the security of knowing you've got a chunkier, sturdier blade here. Let's just have a look down at the tip end. If I take the blade to about there, 0.5 mil thick, 0.5 mil thick, yeah, so they taper down to the same thickness at the end, which, yeah, you want the end of your blade to be fine and pointy so you can jab it into things, don't you? But yeah, you're getting a thicker, much thicker, sturdier knife on the Pioneer, and I think that alone for a lot of people is enough reason to carry it. It's going to stand up to more harder work than the blade on the 91mm Cellador models. It is still only a slip joint, so, you know, be careful that doesn't fold in and cut your fingers off. But I will say as well, the slip joint mechanism on the Pioneer is much stronger than on the Tinker there. It takes a lot more pressure to close that than it does on the Cellador knife. So in terms of security and strength and everything, yeah, this is a stronger, thicker, sturdier, stronger knife. Also less easy to fold in on your own hand. So good nice, lovely to have bonus. And let's just have a look at the other common tools. The cap lifter tool, where you can see straight away that the one on the Pioneer is much bigger and thicker and chunkier. Again, I really like this tool. It's such a good lightweight sort of prying, prizing, prodding tool. So really good if you're going to be using this as a hard worker DIY type of knife, something you're going to have on you as a backup for doing manual work, then yeah, absolutely fantastic having a chunkier slotted screwdriver head on there and a thicker, sturdier prying tool. Excellent. Also the construction of the knife, because these aluminium scales are stronger, thicker, this is going to be a stronger tool to use for prying type tasks than on these Solidor handled models where the liners are just really thin. So that's great. Oh, you also of course get the wire stripper notch there. I've never used that as a wire stripper or wire bender on any of my knives, but it's on there. Let's just measure the thickness. Tinker's cap lifter I'm getting at 2mm, kind of at the base there. On the Pioneer I'm getting it at 2.2, so 0.2mm thicker, but in use, more bulk, more sturdiness, nice to have. The very tip I'm getting at 0.8 on the Pioneer and 0.8 on the Tinker as well at the end. Just looking at the can openers, visually I struggled to see whether there was any difference in the size there. It's much less obvious than it is on the cap lifter. They're the same length. Getting the tool length at 32.2. Yeah, they're the same length. Thickness wise, Tinker's cap lifter I'm getting at 1.9mm thick at the base, and the Pioneer is 2.1mm thick, so again 0.2 thicker. And at the end of the tool on the screwdriver tip, 0.6 and 0.8, 0.7, yeah, a tiny bit thicker on the end, right on the screwdriver end. So in use as a screwdriver, this should be a tiny bit sturdier. Now in models without the backside Phillips, I've used the small slotted driver on the can opener, absolutely fine, no problems. In general, as a light use Phillips driver works really well, but nice to have that extra bit of beef on the Pioneer's tool to use as a Phillips driver. One of the reasons I chose the Tinker over a Spartan or any other model really was because of the Phillips, backside Phillips. Great to have a dedicated Phillips driver for Phillips screws. They're really much more common than slotted screws where I live. But in use this is a bit awkward, you can't get it into corners. I did once have that slip on me and caused a really nasty gash on my fingernail trying to use this. So not a problem, I'll use that as a Phillips driver if I don't happen to have a proper screwdriver on me. No problem at all. So in terms of not having that, yeah, no biggie really, because the backside driver just isn't that great in use. You want an inline driver really, and this works just fine on a lot of Phillips screws. And let's have a look at the awls. The Tinker has an awl with a sewing eye. Good, handy tool for boring holes. Also used as a ferro rod striker. Sturdy, little scrapey type tool there, but this one, the inline one on the Pioneer, is just better. There's no sewing eye hole or anything, but it's really sharp, really sturdy. Excellent for scraping, prodding, making holes. Inline, again, much better than the backside tool there. Excellent, sturdy tool to have on a knife if you're going to be using it as a backup tool to have in your pocket if you're doing actual manual working tasks. Great stuff. And that's all you get. No scale tools, no backside tools, just those. So which do you choose? Well, I love the red handled ones. The scale tools can be dead useful in urban situations and stuff. Can be great to have a pen. Toothpick can not only be used for picking your teeth but for cleaning out the muck from your phone's charging port. Tweezers, don't often use them. You can use them for splinters, ticks, any really tiny fine tasks. And the little slot for the pin there. I've used a pin out of one of my Victorinox knives loads of times for unclogging my car's rear window wash wipers. But if I'm going to be doing a day's physical work, yeah, I'll be choosing this one because the tools are sturdier, beefier, bigger and stronger. Also the Alox or Alox, it just looks and feels amazing, doesn't it? I've got one of my older cadets here. I've had this for years. It still looks pretty much brand new. Yeah, the look and feel of the Alox is just amazing. Really nice knife. What do you reckon? Would you choose this or would you choose this? They're all great, aren't they? I've got dozens of Swiss Army knives, but yeah, really excellent tool if you want a more durable, sturdy, workable knife for genuine work, I reckon. Let me know your thoughts on the Victorinox Pioneer or the Tinker or other options. What do you think, guys? There's the Pioneer X that everyone seems really keen on nowadays, isn't there, which adds a pair of scissors. Again, for a hard work DIY knife, I don't think I need a pair of scissors. I've got a really nice sturdy blade there. Also makes it a bit bulkier and a bit heavier, so I haven't gone for that option. and that'll do me just fine as a backup tool to have in my pocket when I'm doing my continuing my house renovations and stuff like that. Nice one. Thanks for looking. Leave a comment if you like, and if you want to consider subscribing, that would be great as well. Up to you. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in another vid very soon. Take it easy. Ta-da for now. Bye.